Okay, I'll just let me know you want me to start, if you want me to wait for a few more people.
Yeah, let's give it another minute.
Okay.
How was everybody's weekend? Anybody do anything fun?
I went to see the
Or-
Mets.
Nice.
I went to the circus.
Did they win?
Yes. It was hot.
Oh yeah, the heat is wilding. But Elijah, you said you went to the circus. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't
pretty
that
fun.
packed?
Yeah, it was like this paranormal circus near Menlo Mall.
How was it?
It was good. It was a little strange, but it was a good time. It was a good time.
Okay. Got some more folks in here. Okay, I'm pretty much ready. I'll just, when you are, I can go over the house rules and stuff.
Feel free to get started.
Well, welcome everyone to the Higher Newark Book Club. This month, our book is called Unbleep Yourself. I'm gonna try to not use profanity to set the tone for this group. But all in all, yeah, we're basically diving into this book together. The first chapter should have been a really easy read for everyone, just to kind of just tell you what the book is about. So yeah, like, you are welcome to have your camera on or off. I know some people are eating. I know some people are like putting their children to bed. Like, so it's really okay, as long as you are interacting on the chat. And also, when we're telling stories, let's try to use like clean language. I know we can be expressive in other ways, but we're going to try our best to, use our other vocabulary. And yeah, a special thanks to the team members from Higher Newark, Audrus and Leno, and BrownMill as well. I would not be here if it wasn't for BrownMill asking me to help host this on their behalf. A little bit about myself is I live in Newark. I host events in Newark under my company, Vibes After Dark, and I am all about the community and all about economic empowerment. So you hopefully in this space will all get to know each other in this hour that we have. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, let me know, and then we'll just jump right into our schedule of events as well. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat for those who are listening in as well. Let's see. Okay, so basically to start off, she kind of started off the question like, how was your weekend? I would like to do kind of a rose and thorn from your weekend. I know it's Monday, so I wasn't gonna do like rose and thorn from today, but from your weekend, we can go start there. Feel free to share when you're ready.
Well, I had the kind of weekend that I think everyone needs to have from time to time, where I just watched some reruns on HBO Max and did some house chores. Because if you don't do it, who's gonna clean your house?
Right.
So nothing, and I got some jogging in. I would not recommend running in 95-degree weather for most people because it is very challenging.
Sandra said maid service too.
I'm too,
but not okay.
I'm too cheap for that. I'd rather keep that money in my pocket. If I could,
like
I don't need if I can't do it myself.
Yeah, so true. Anyone else want to share? I'm gonna start calling out people.
I kind of said mine. I went to a game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who else on here? Andrea, I see you in the chat. Would you like to share Rose and Thorn from this weekend?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I had a pretty packed weekend. I had a birthday party on Saturday and a birthday party on Sunday. So I had a good time with my friends and family. Outside of that, I got time to relax when those things weren't happening. So that was great, kind of recalibrate. Thorn, I guess, is that I'm tired now and a little hungover, but it was worth it. So yeah.
Dope. Love to hear it. It sounds like you need another day off, but like all in all.
Or a month. A month would be
okay.
nice. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Hi,
One
good
more
evening.
person.
I wasn't as fortunate as Andrea, having all that fun, but I did go to a cookout, and I did the same thing as Stephen did, is do some housework.
Balance.
So that's about it.
Love it. Okay, are y'all ready to get into this book? I would love to, figure out like, what you took away from this book, like what brings you here, like if the title really stuck out to you. So based on the title alone, were you excited to read this book or were you triggered? Like, was it giving like, ooh, I don't know if I want to join this book club, or you were all the way ready?
So I'll go first. I actually saw the title and was like, oh, hi, Newark. Oh no, they didn't. This is not the kind of books we read here. But then I was like, did you see this title? So then I texted Michelle, did you see this title? So I one was like, I'm going to join. And then after I started reading a little bit further about, how it says get out of your head and get into your life, I was like, okay, it may not be so bad. But this just goes to show that, there are different books and different genres that you can read that are, about self-empowerment and good for you to read, just, different ones. So I don't really have any expectations. But as I was listening to chapter 2 about I am willing, I was like, am I unwilling? So it kind of flipped some of what I've been thinking.
Love that. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing. Anyone else was triggered or looking forward to reading this book? You can also let us know if it directly correlates to your life and your journey right now. So
I was going to say something, but I saw Rosin with her hand up, and we'll have her go first.
Thank you. I was triggered, very much triggered, because there's so much negativity in this world. So, a lot of people use that word and, they'll be like, F you, right? So now, like, not always hearing it, but having like, if someone has said it to you before out of anger, out of spite, out of hatred, there's so much bigotry, racism, homophobia, all the phobias, right? People are using that word as an attacking word against people. So I can't recall, not that it's recently happened, but I could just imagine somebody telling me that and trying to get a reaction from me, or me hearing that and saying, what am I gonna do? Like, if someone said this to me at work, it's work, what can I do? Now, if I wasn't at work, there's a lot more that I could do. Or, okay, I'm probably gonna end up going on a tangent, but it was triggering because now, when I think about all my intersectionalities, and ways that people have tried to use that as a negative thing, right? Reading this book is now saying, let me unscrew that, let me turn that negative into a positive. So I still read it, and there are aha moments, or there are moments where like I don't agree with the author, and I'm okay with that, but I'm willing to understand his perspective and understand why he's saying what he's saying. So like, even I'm a little behind, like I'm a chapter behind. I'm on chapter 3. you're wired to win. And he's saying, even though you failed, you still won. You're winning at the life that you're in right now, the life that you're living now, even though it wasn't planned, even though you didn't choose where you grew up, where you live, your skin color, all of that, right? You are winning by being the best version of yourself, regardless of what society will say about who you are and what you do, right? Because you can't please everybody, right? But you can control you. You can master being the best version of you. So that's how I'm feeling about chapter 3. But it's an up and down. So it was triggering, but I think I'm trying to push that in a way that empowers me, in the direction that empowers me.
Yeah, and I don't think you're behind or anything. We're doing chapter 1. Still. Yeah, right?
Oh, because last week was, they said
last week was like an intro. So
so okay, I'm actually maybe ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm glad you definitely kept going despite like not hearing things that you may have wanted to hear and stuff like that, because that could be really challenging, especially with books. I'll just stop reading. But you sharing that about the word choice is definitely something that's going to keep coming up in this book. So thank you for sharing. And I don't want to mispronounce your name. How do you say it?
Rosalind.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If anybody has any response to her, you're welcome to respond or share your response to the question as well. And I'm sorry I can't see everybody on one screen at the same time, so you can just chime in.
Yeah, this is Stephen. I was going to say, when I saw the book, obviously it's the title is theirs to get your attention, one positive or negative. And my first thought is, this is a book that this book club usually would go toward. And I was kind of surprised, but I think also sometimes we learn the most by reading books by authors we probably wouldn't naturally gravitate to, or reading books that our immediate circle wouldn't necessarily read. And I think this book may be in that category. And it's definitely something that can be offensive. It can be triggering, but it depends upon how bad you want something you're going after, right? I think if you are putting the goal, whatever your goal may be, we always talk about relationships or weight loss or career, those goals seem to go in those buckets, but whatever the goal is, if you are more concerned about getting there than how you feel along the way or being insulted, you can get there. And I think this book is trying to do that. And it's showing us that, there was a particular quote, I don't want to misquote it: reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. And so I thought about that. I thought to myself, well, obviously, if you're legitimately injured, like a broken leg or illness, you can't just say, well, I'm not sick, and then it just goes away. I mean, you have positive attitude, but you also have to work in the realm of reality. But I think a lot of times in our society now, we're so angry, we're so offended at everything, at things that our parents and grandparents would have looked at us and said, you're worried about that? Well, look at what I went through. And so I think if we put that in perspective, we can achieve great things if we were to be a little less offended and think the best of intentions.
No, that is key. You said less offended. And, I think we might be from a little bit different generation, but like, literally, no, I didn't say all that. You said it. But in all seriousnly, like, I almost feel like you need to be pushed to grow sometimes, kind of what the title did for me. And like, if we're only in spaces that really are just like, it could still be affirming, in a way to say those words. But at the same time, it's going to push you to change, and it's uncomfortable. So, yeah.
And I'll just say this, and I'll be quiet. And this is to everyone. If you think of, and this could be rhetorical, but if you think of all the best things you have in your life and the things you achieved, whether or not you still have it or not, it did not come from a place of comfort. Ask any woman that gave birth to a child, for one. So, and that's just one example. So you got to go through a lot of pain to get the things you love.
I didn't know y'all was gonna be preaching tonight. I'm not ready. Let's see. Oh, Who is the 347 number? If you could just say your name for us, just so we know. Or put it in the chat if you cannot talk. Thank you. Okay, what else? So, does anyone else have a response before I move on? I would love to know. Don't be shy either. And who actually, yeah.
Yes. I was Sonia and I, this is Michelle. Sonia and I were talking about the title, and we were like, what in the world? Who would put a title as such? But as you start reading and start, when you start reading, and he's talking about the language and how language is used to describe our circumstances and how it affects how we deal with our day-to-day life. And, not that we, probably most people online, most of us don't use that word daily. And you start realizing it's just totally opposite of what you would expect. I was like, oh, what was his mama thinking? Son, you're gonna put this as the title of your book. But, when you start looking at your life and using the right language to improve your life, the title has nothing to do with so far what's in the book. And so, but so far it's very interesting, and you start thinking about yourself. And as I was stating, the willingness and unwillingness, and it makes you look at yourself and how you communicate with others, and as well as yourself, as he indicated, we talk to others and we talk to ourselves. And so far it's just interesting, and I've enjoyed it so far. That was my only comment.
Thank you for sharing. Some thoughts I had while you were talking is like, that came to me were like, thinking about how we have our different spiritual texts and stuff like that. And this is like an attempt to put truth in a way that's like, kind of fully experienced by everybody. So I kind of like that. It's just like really targeting just like how you think and how that translates to your actions. So that's just something that came to mind. Which also leads to my next question, is when you talk to others, are you mindful or aware of how you hear yourself? Like before you read this book, when you talk to other people, your everyday conversations, when you're at work or talking to kids, do you hear yourself? And is that something that resonated with you when he was talking about it in the book, about like, literally, I don't want to say like word for word, but yeah, you start there.
So I would say I do. I listen to what I say. And sometimes I laugh because I'm like, boy, I can give those people really good advice. And then you look at yourself and you're like, I should take my own advice. You know how you tell somebody, oh, you can exercise, just do a few minutes of this or do a few minutes of that, or, you should get some rest. And so you're encouraging others. And like the song says, like, encourage yourself. So I find sometimes that I need to then act like I'm talking to someone else, and turn it around and flip it on me and be like, well, if you can tell so-and-so to do this, why can't you do this? Which goes back to when he says, I am willing, like, am I willing to do the work that's necessary? Because if you're not willing to do the work, then why are you doing it? And then it also goes back to what you put in your head. Like a lot of times we're in a situation and we think the worst of something. And then when the situation comes, we're like, oh man, like it wasn't that bad. So I get what he's saying, how what you put in your head, and they tell you in church, is like whatever you put in that atmosphere is there. So if you don't want the negative vibes, if you don't want the, the naysayer stuff going on in your head, like don't support that, like block it so that it doesn't get inside your head. So I laugh at this because, I have a life coach. And so a lot of what he was saying, like she says, and, just what you tell yourself every day, you're like, wow, I should talk better to myself than I talk to others. And they tell you that all the time, like how you speak to your friends, you should speak to yourself because you speak to them with care, but you don't always speak to yourself that way.
That's actually something that I wrote down too. Like we're touching on all the points naturally, which I love. As I was just like trying to like take my time with the reading, I think I had to start over a little bit because I was in my head before I started reading. The thought that came to me was, when we hear negativity from others, we are naturally inclined to correct their words, but it's more challenging to correct our own negative thinking. And that's just like a thing of human nature. So I really relate to you on receiving that from the book as well. Let's see. How many of y'all finished the book? Because I heard some of y'all finished the book last meeting. Anybody on this call? Went ahead?
You don't want to finish it because then you're ahead of the class.
I'm
you
just
don't
saying,
want to finish it because then you're ahead of the class.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep pace with the club. So no, I haven't finished it. This is Miss Pitt.
Hello.
So
Hi, Ms.
I'm
Pitt.
at chapter 1.
Okay, good. Because I feel like in order for us to kind of like put into practice some of these things along with reading it, it's like, okay, let this word like set in to you and really, really see, how it affects you day by day. So you can have lasting effects. Like if you rush through it, I feel like we'll just forget about it like next week and be like, oh yeah, I'm back to, doing what I was doing. So yes, that's good. And that leads to my next question. Kind of getting personal, but what do you want to gain and put into practice from reading this book so we can kind of like document our goals over the month? Feel free to also write it in the chat too.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry.
All right. Yeah,
ahead,
sure. I'll repeat the question and then you feel free to answer. What do you want to gain and put into practice from reading this book? Thank you. Agree with you on that. Steven said he wants to overthink less.
What I was going to say is more about, and I like the actual table of contents. It says, I am willing, I am wired to win. Like, I got this. I embrace the uncertainty. I am not my thoughts. I am what I do. I am relentless. I expect nothing and accept everything. So that to me just reminds me of your I am statements that you say to yourself. And I was in like a leadership thing and we had a 30-day challenge. Every day you had to like post in our private Facebook something regarding I am. So you had to do it for 30 days straight. And realizing that after doing that, you start to change your mindset. You start to believe in yourself a little bit more. You start to have a little bit more energy. So for me, this is just a reminder of what I learned in like the leadership classes, that you should always start your day with, and he talks about not starting your day with affirmations, but I feel like if you start your day on a positive note, like even if something bad happens, at least you have that, like, this day is not that bad. Like, so it's all about how you take life and how to twist it. And I think being optimistic about the situation, because we could really be, in, dire situations. We could be like Kentucky, like lost our homes and everything. So a lot of times, like what you think is the end for you is really not, like somebody else has it worse. So I always think about like, the blessings that I have. Like I'm blessed to be able to come home every day. Like these people have nowhere to live right now. The people that lost their houses in California, like, so it's like, really think about your life right now. Like, it could be worse, but somebody else would rather be in your shoes. So like, try to appreciate it. And like Steven said, like, take a moment and just stop thinking, overthinking, and just really embrace the present day, like presence right now.
I just have to let that marinate a little bit. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, that is a great practice to put in. You were talking about affirmations. You were talking about a lot of things. And you said reminder, like the most important thing for you is reminder, correct? From reading this book. So yeah, I agree with any. Does anybody else have anything to share before I go?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that he indicated, and I like to always kind of remember, is to relate to your problems as opportunities and use them to educate and expand yourself. And so I think that will be one of the things that, sometimes all of us have problems and we go through things, but we can't look at them as problems to get us down, but to flip it around and use them to learn from them and grow from them and just keep moving forward. And that's what.
Y'all have all the words. I feel like I'm about to be real motivated just from this book club alone. Not even like a book, but thank you so much for sharing that. And there's some things in the chat I'll just call out. Stop procrastinating with my goals. Ooh, that one's real. And to get out of my own way. So these are all things we will check in with each other about towards as we continue this book club, and how to get out of being stuck. Right. How many of people on here are business owners or interested in owning a business? Does that relate to your experience in reading this book, or are you reading it for just personal growth?
Personal.
I know we had higher Newark. Okay, personal. Dope.
Personal growth.
Personal.
Dope. Okay.
I'll say personal and business also for myself, personal and business. There's a new business owner, so looking to see what perspective they're talking from, he's writing from, to adapt to being a new business owner.
I can definitely say as a business owner myself, the personal growth would definitely help you in business and really aid in like you getting clear about your purpose and like clearing out like the emotional attachment to things you have with your business. So yeah, this is a great start for just like business stuff. I always tell people that your business is closely related to you and your relationships and your past, your traumas, all that stuff. A lot of people said personal growth. I love that.
I actually thought that it was a business book, which is why I had avoided it in the past, because it came up on the list of like all the popular, books for self-help. And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know if I would relate to that. And I also just tried to avoid books that are written by white men, especially because sometimes they come from the corporate world and like, it just doesn't relate to my life. But I'm seeing that it could and will be helpful for personal and business, because I definitely have noticed that, especially getting deeper into becoming a business owner, that cynicism and like negativity creeps in, especially dealing with people, clients, and like, I see it being helpful for both.
And I'm glad you joined us despite, you avoiding this book on your business list. Thank you so much, Andrea. And I love that we're all like conquering, something by reading and just by being here. And yeah, does anyone else want to share what they're putting into practice. You could get specific if you want to, like, you know, what's some, let me answer this question too for myself. What do I want to gain? I always want to gain like a form of discipline. So I think with this, it's just kind of like making sure my words lead to like great actions, because sometimes I won't, you know, follow through on things. So that's my answer to that question. And I would love to talk about people and their self-help journey. Like, have you read self-help books before? I know Andrea said this is definitely written by a white man. So how did that make y'all feel for my people? Have you been relating to it so far throughout, like how he speaks? Because that was kind of challenging.
I mean, it definitely gives, it's giving white man confidence. You know, like how everyone's going around saying it's giving, right? It's giving Black girl joy, Black girl magic, all of that, right? That's what it's giving. I wonder what it would sound like if I was listening to it as an audiobook, but it's very much like he's confident about what he's saying, and he's written it from a very unapologetic standpoint. Like, yeah, if this book is gonna offend you, throw it away. If you're gonna cry, if you're gonna be sensitive, if you're gonna be in your feelings, this is not the book for you. But if you're gonna own those feelings and then move with them, right, level up, then yes, take the step, continue and read on. So very much, he's not apologetic about anything he said, and that's what white men have historically done. You know, I find myself like way too often trying to apologize for things, and then I have to catch myself like, wait, why am I apologizing? Because the white man would do the same thing and not apologize. So like, and like, if I didn't make you cry, I'm not gonna apologize. Cause like I've been, what worse things have been said to me, and I've actually just sit there and swallow it and, like, you know, count to 10, count to 100, whatever it is I need to keep myself calm. But not that I need to get to his level of confidence, right? Because I'll never be a white man. There's nothing that's going to change me and make me a white man. But I want to build as close to as I can get to that confidence, right? And then I think if I can bring that level of assertiveness into the world, then I think it brings me closer to the goals that I want to achieve, and helps me be more successful. So I think it's helpful to read it from this perspective. I haven't read many books like this or many self-help books by white men. So it's an interesting perspective. And I think it's also empowering at the same time. So as close as that as I can get. But again, I'm not going to pretend I'm a white man, but what can I do to get to that level of confidence? Yeah.
No, that's facts.
I have a quick,
yeah.
I guess like a thought to our book club members. Reading this book and just like doing the background on it, it kind of gave me Trent Sheldon, but in a different font. So Trent Sheldon is a previous book that we read called The Greatest You, and it was definitely about just like empowering yourself and like getting off your butt, and just like very much this same guy, only a Black man in a different font. Does anybody else feel that way?
I actually felt this way about the last book that we read, because it was coming from a white woman's perspective. Too, you look at the year of this book, which is like 2016, 2017. But I say that all to say, you know, we're all different. We all have our views on, you know, what we would want someone to say versus what they actually say. And so what I tend to do is take the principles or take what I feel like will work for me. It's one thing, you know, I like my Black books, but there are a lot of books that I read that are not by Black authors, like Cheryl Brady, you know, Christian books or other books, because I feel like you have to have different views and opinions. Like, you don't have to own it, but you need to, in order for you to be well-rounded, you need to hear all views. And I think this is what we're trying to do. So, you know, in this Black Lives Matter moment, it's like, yeah, you all black this, all black this, and it's nothing wrong with it. But also too, we need to sometimes hear where other people are coming from. Not that we have to agree, because they don't agree with everything that we say, but I always just look at the principle. And God, and like you said, white men, you know, they act differently at work. They, you know, they don't follow the rules. Though I have to follow the rules, but you take what you can from them and you learn. And I'm like, you just learn how to play the game a little bit differently with some of the tools that they're using. And so that's what I do. Like, what in here in this book am I going to be able to take away that will help me be a better version of what I am currently doing for myself, and how I'm living my life at work. Because it's a fight every day. You know, and I have to tell my manager, like, hey, I want a different band level. Like, this is what I want. I need you to do this for me. Granted, he dragged his foot, but he did it. You know, he took all the credit, but it wasn't just him. It was, you know, my mentor who was Black, who helped push it along. But at the end of the day, if I have to kind of play the game somewhat to get what I need, then that's what I'm going to do. But learning and sitting and watching, I think is key for all of us, because they do the same thing for us. Like, they learn and, you know, watch how we move and everything. And it's nothing negative. I'm like, it is what it is. You know, it's like, but how you look at it and how you view it is all differently.
Hey, I got a quick story on this. And since I was reminded not too long ago, I'm from a different generation. I guess I am, because I was born in the 70s. So in 1994, I went to Morehouse College because I wanted the Black college experience. And I was a big fan of Different World and everything else. But then I go down, for those of you that are younger, that was a show on in the 90s, A Different World.
No, that's not.
We know the show.
Listen.
I mean, some of y'all look really young, so I don't know, you know, but okay. So I go down there and I was very surprised because the head of the English department was white. There was a white guy looking like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo in real life that was there on a minority scholarship. Okay. Yeah. So I get the comfort of wanting to be with your own and Black authors and all that. And I said, it's interesting to say that, because I said earlier that, you know, we learn a lot when we go outside our comfort zone. And if any of you wrote a book, I'm sure you would not want a white person saying, I don't read Black authors. You would want that business. So I think we all have our preferences, but also I will say that every brother in my life has not been a brother. And there were some white folk that gave me opportunities, and some white folks that haven't. But I would just say you learn a lot by going outside your comfort zone. And you can also have confidence without being a jerk, even if someone else is. You can be very confident and altruistic at the same time, meaning putting some people's interests above your own. And then make sure you're lifting people up. Because I hired 4 Black people myself on my team. I'm a manager at my company, and I hired 4 in the last year. And when other managers passed them over, when you interview them, I brought them on my team. So when you do have some power and influence, use it for good, but also build a bridge to other people. And I believe I can't remember the name of the book, Grit, Angela Duckworth, Asian woman.
Yeah, that's what it was, Stephen.
Yes. Angela Duckworth. And because again, I mean, if we do that, we will grow and expand, because I'll never forget first couple months of working at Johnson & Johnson. There wasn't too many young Black people working. This is back in 2000. And some people even came up to me and said, hey, you know, maybe you want to sit around and talk to other people. And I said, well, how about you come and sit and talk with us instead of us having to break up, because no one's telling y'all not to talk with each other. You know,
Right.
Sometimes it's just that you have these moments where someone says something to you and you can choose to be angry, have a chip on your shoulder, or you can engage and then have a connection point and have the confidence to respond to what they're saying. You know, and then some people are going to want to cross the bridge you build, but a lot of people will. You know, and I think when you think about part of this book, get out of your own head. We all of us probably have some things we need to get out of our heads and biases that and preconceived notions we have on things. The world isn't just one color. Yeah, I learned that going to Morehouse. I'm like, this is a Black college, and we got white folk running things here, at least parts of it. That was an eye opener to me. And a white dude on a scholarship, and I was sitting there paying all this money. So I ended up going back home and going to Drexel, but it was an interesting experience for that time though. All right, I will mute my mic. I've talked enough.
No, that's what we're here to talk. We're here to, hash out everything. Like, I think you really touched on some important things because, like, although it may be uncomfortable, like you were saying, like it's a space to grow in. So, I take heed of your words. So thank you for sure.
I'd like to just add something that I appreciate the diversity of the book choices in this book club, white, Black. To me, I feel like everyone who's been successful has left breadcrumbs of how they got there and what has helped them. And I think in a society we live where everyone's it's like a rat race. Everyone's trying to get out and get to the top. And everyone who's gotten out the rat race has left notes and tips to do that. And for me, that can come from any race. When we think of white people, we know that they have built success around their environment. So when they say, all you got to do is say an affirmation, I am wealthy. And you're just like, oh, that's like the quick fix. And it's really not. But there is a magic behind it where it's consistency, where it works in the back of your mind. And then you start subconsciously attracting to things. So maybe this is something that white people has held on to for all this time. And just now we're getting tuned into it. But whatever the case may be, these are systems and procedures that have worked for other people. So if that worked for them, it may not work for me, but like Audra said, take the meat and spit out the bones. Whatever works will work, but at least they're dropping gems on us. And I appreciate the time it takes to formulate a book with all these opinions, Black, white, all of us have different experiences, but we can take what's out of there and mold it into something beautiful. The creation part, the integration part.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I was gonna say, so I'm still in leadership, Newark, but I finished my project. And so our group project was on DEI, and we had a coach, Dean Shroy from Rutgers University, and she runs the Truth and Racial Healing Center. And we actually did one of her workshops, and it was interesting because you're connected to all the different people that signed up on her workshop, and you basically sit and talk to one another. She throws out these questions. And even though you're not all the same color, you really realize at the end of the day, like, so our stories are similar. Like, we're more similar, like people say, we're more similar than we're different. And so you can actually really realize that these people are somewhat like us. Some of their experiences, so not maybe all their lifestyles, but some of their experiences. And it's good to just sometimes just sit and listen to other people's experiences, because you can't really tell what we all go through just by looking at us. And, like we said, so I just find that sometimes, just sitting and listening can kind of help also too. And I like the fact that their Rutgers does have this Truth and Racial Healing Center, because I feel like we all need to heal from something. Like Stephen said, like, we all have biases. And even in, just our everyday living and during our DEI project, like, these biases are not going to go away, but it's how you control and how you use your words with people that will change. Like, some days I'm like, oh, I can't stand white people. Some days I'm like, I don't even like my own Black people. So, it's just like, this is reality. But am I racist? No, I just have my own biases. Some days I just don't like even myself sometimes. But it just goes to show that, we all have a story, and we all are different, and people will look at you and be like, well, you come from nothing, or you come from a lot of money. But as they say, I always tell people, I don't want you to know of me, I want you to know me. So you won't know me unless you really spend time and sit down and talk to me. Like, and then when I talk to you, like, wow, I didn't really know that. Yeah, because you don't take time. And this is something that I think we lose in society today, is that we don't really sit down and talk to one another. Like, people text all day long. Like, don't text me. don't email me all day long. Like, pick up the phone and let's have a conversation, or let's go out and spend time with one another. And I think because we lose that, we lose a lot of our own self in the whole situation. It's like we're lost now, to some extent, because we don't really know how to communicate. And even when young people are around and I'm talking to their mothers, like, take the phone away from them. Like, make them sit at the table with adults and have conversations. Like, how are they going to grow and learn how to have conversations with people if you allow them to sit on the corner in the room with their family members and not talking to them on the telephone? Like, that's something we would never be able to do. Like, you come in the room, you sit and you talk. And so society has changed how we communicate with one another.
Listen, this is bringing up a lot too about you're talking about like communication, and you know, as someone who has like fairly young siblings and stuff, like this space as well is very helpful for us to like express how we feel, express our experiences. So you know, I hope you guys take away just the importance of your words from this, and yeah, thank you so much. I think I have, let's see, one more thing to close us out on. Audrey, do you have anything to add as well?
No, this is a
Before we
great
wrap up?
conversation.
Okay.
I'm definitely excited. I think we hit on the nail for this chapter 1, especially when it comes to like the realities of our own situations. And like, I think he started like the chapter 1 is like being on a hamster wheel, and getting out of that hamster wheel is about the way that you talk to yourself and recognizing just being better and giving yourself more care and tenderness that you would give other people. So thank you so much for leading us today.
Thanks for having me. I would love to close out this space in gratitude. I know we shared a lot. I know that we definitely voiced some areas of frustration with ourselves or like our work life too. So I would love to close this chat out with on a high note, and preferably if you could say it, you can also write it in the chat. But just leaving us with one thing you're grateful for this week, this month, so that we can start off this positive energy by celebrating ourselves. So please feel free to share. Love that.
Was you gonna go, Sonia?
No, you go, Steve.
I was just going to, there's so many things to be thankful for. And if you really sit and think about it, you could probably write down hundreds of things that we take for granted. But again, I mentioned jogging. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to be turning 45 in a couple of days. So yes, I'm old. Okay.
You're wise, giving wise.
Some of us are older than you.
That's a good way to think it up. Hey, and the thing is, I mean, to still be able to, sometimes my body goes through aches and pains, whatever, but to still have a fully functioning body and to do what I think the average 45-year-old man isn't doing, I'm thankful for that I can do that, and so, and just thankful for it. Everything I've been through the last 5 years is to still have my kids, have a new house. So there's a lot of things to be thankful for. It's always easy to complain. We sometimes got to work a little harder to really stop and say, hey, what am I thankful for? Because later in the book, he talks about there's a lot of people who will trade their problems with yours. There's always someone worse. Someone, you mentioned Kentucky. There are people out in the street, homeless. There's people with terminal illnesses. And so there's always a worse problem. And so, just start with gratitude. But at the same time, some people in my family try to equate gratitude with complacency. I say, you can be thankful without saying, well, this is all I need, and this is all I'm ever going to have. So you can still want to grow while still being grateful. But I think sometimes as the people we seem to, at least older generations, seem to have a difficulty doing that.
Right. Love that. Well, shout out to you for jogging. More power to you, because I'm not jogging even though I'm younger. So, got us on that.
I'm with you, Steven.
It's a great calorie burner. I mean, running out, especially in 95-degree heat, just stay hydrated. Make sure you drink that water.
No, you have to go at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, well, kids be keeping me up till midnight, so it's hard to get up at 5:30 when I got them. But
I do it. Get my 6-5 miles in,
Okay.
then go to work.
Okay. I'm trying to get like y'all by the end of this.
Before the sun come up. After that, it's a done deal.
Yeah, I gotta I don't want darker circles under my eyes, so I'm starting to prioritize sleep more. I almost rather run at like 11 p.m. than 5 a.m.
Got you. We have someone else who put in the chat that they're grateful for their family. Yes, shout out to family. Shout out to support from your family. That just keeps us together. So thank you, Elijah.
I'm gonna say
anyone else would like.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm just grateful for having goals. Because probably before I started Higher Newark, you have goals, but you don't really follow through on them. You just like write them down and you kind of forget them. And so now that, thank you, Higher Newark, for my life coach, who I love dearly. She's helped me just realize that, you have goals and you have dreams, and the only way you're going to get them done is you have to put action to plan. And so helping you get out of, like this book says, like get out of your own way, like get out of your head, stop telling yourself that you're, less of this and less of that, but look at, where you are and just go for it. And so in doing so, like I've gotten a promotion, I've gotten a raise. Now I'm like, okay, now that I have this, like now I'm in this special group at work where I'm like connected to like senior leaders and other people in the company who will help me get to like the next role. And I'm like, okay, now I want to do something different. So I think setting goals gives you the energy to just keep going, but to make sure that you're checking your stuff off. So for me, I'm just grateful for realizing my goals and realizing that it's only me that's gonna make the difference in my life. Like I can't wait for other people to do it for me. I have to do it myself.
I love that. I guess I'll share now, and then someone can follow up. Something I'm grateful for is friendship. I literally think that like who you have around you informs how you think, and who you talk to definitely shapes just like how you feel on the daily. So some people could be draining, some people can lift you up. So this week, I'm very, very thankful for that. Actually, today, just had to call on one of my friends to help me complete a project, and she was available. So shout out to friendship. Yeah. Someone had a question. Experiencing objects. But yeah, we're pretty much wrapping up. If there's anything else. Sorry, somebody was saying? Oh, she was talking to someone else. We're pretty much wrapping up for this week. I'm excited to like keep reading this. I'm really excited to like pay attention to my words now. I think this is aligned with my journey spiritually. And I can't wait to hear like what you guys think. And yeah, please feel free to also send me some insights, because it's my first time hosting a book club. So I'm a little shy, but I'm working on it. And yeah, thank y'all.
This is family. You're okay. You're safe here.
Okay.
Right, Audris? Linnell?
Absolutely.
This is safe space. Steven and I got you.
Okay. Cool.
Everybody's welcome to this family. Thank you, Zenaida, so much. And we do want to say thank you to our sponsor.
Yes.
Thank you, BrownMill, so much.
Thank you guys.
Sorry,
Woohoo!
Oh, 1 second. Is it me? Sorry, guys. So thank you, BrownMill. Also, keep in mind that you get 15% off your entire order for the month of August. That we host the book club. There are a few more books left inside the store, so feel free to go pick it up if you have not already. Thank you so much to Audible for supplying this code in the beginning of the registration process. The Newark Public Library for additional digital copies, also located on Hoopla if you need that on-the-go vibe, especially if you're running at 5:30 in the morning with Sonia and Steven, you know, there's no time to hold time. Barnes & Noble Rutgers, there's a 15% off the book as well. Source of Knowledge, 10% off. Sendel's online bookstore, shout out to Sendel and okay. And always, if you want to continue the conversation, we urge you to join our accountability group on Facebook, which is the Higher North Facebook Club, and Linnell linked it in the chat, as well as please sign up for the Newark Talent Pool. Get connected to resume reviewers, professional career coaching, as well as find out about any open local roles. This is what we do. We connect you to everything you need to be successful, not just reading the book, but also empowering you to be better on a healthy whole side of your professional development. So we do it from the ground up. And you can join our talent pool if you have not already done so at highernorknj.com. And Linnell also linked it in the chat. So thank you guys so much. Shout out to Zenaida.
Thank
Round of
you.
applause.
Thank
Go
you for your work.
Z.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you.
We will
Good night, y'all.
Awesome.